here. I see Lewis, Martin and Jake were in the chat earlier. Vegan Stoner Lady is here. Great to see you guys all. This is actually going to be a pretty short stream, so we'll hopefully get some people to stop. I'm going to have to wrap up around like 40, 45 after the hour, so we're looking at maybe only like 20, 25 minutes. But if we're speedy and deliver the point, then we will be able to have some conversation. So without any further delay, I will go ahead and get started. Hopefully you guys can all hear me. It's an interesting mix of people out and about. We have like morning commuter type people and some tourists too. But we will see. We will see who stops. Yes, Lewis, it is going to have to be short. Unfortunately, I do have a prior obligation at the top of the hour. But yeah, we'll see what we can do. I have faith that, let me see if my brightness is up. It is up, but it's just bright out here. So, man, it is, oh, I know why, because I have battery saver mode enabled. Okay, hopefully that should be better. Let me check my brightness once more. Okay, we're good. Thank you guys all for being here. We'll see. I haven't been out this early in the morning, I don't think, ever before, so there aren't a ton of people out, and a lot of people are just kind of going to work, but we'll see. There are some families with their kids out and stuff like that. So hopefully everybody's having a good morning. It's Monday. Some people have certain feelings about Mondays. I quite like Mondays. It's kind of like a kickstart to the rest of the week kind of a feeling. Got some lookers, but no takers quite yet. It's kind of like super random. Yeah, early crowd, maybe too busy getting places. Yeah, I'm kind of in that boat myself, but I had some time. I figured last night I just thought, hey, why don't I just do a quick stream in the morning? And Vegan Stoner Lady, I'm glad that you're able to catch it as well. Hopefully someone actually shows up, but I don't know. Maybe I should come up with some topics to talk about when people are not here. When nobody has stopped by. I'm curious. I'm curious what you guys think about activism, criticisms of activism by vegans who are not active. I think this is something that I've dealt with a lot in the past, and something that I'm dealing with presently, which is a little bit annoying, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think there's a saying about how the people who are doing the least have the most to say about what you are doing. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that there are people who are vegan, and not personally contributing to animals being violently tortured and killed. And I hope that more vegans get active and find better uses of their energy. And same goes for people who just come here to say that they love eating animals and stuff like that. I hope that they also find more constructive uses of their time and energy. Vegan Stoner Lady says, I ask non-vegans who tell me I should advocate the way they think I should. Oh, are you vegan now? Yeah. I don't really have an issue with that so much. It's more like the vegans who have an issue with just the way that you conduct your activism. And I think that a lot of times it happens to be the case that people who have those kinds of criticisms are probably not actually even vegan. That's a whole nother story, maybe for another day. I used to be very vocally against things like welfareism and those kinds of things, but lately I've just kind of tried to just stay in my lane as much as I can. But it is annoying Um, it is annoying, I guess, when people try to control how you do your activism, your advocacy, how you do your vegan activism. A lot of people want to make veganism about more than it actually is. Like I fully support um, intersectionality. I support the human rights related issues that the world is currently dealing with, and nevertheless, I still recognize that veganism is about non-human animals. Like, if we were to take veganism to mean against, like, if it was to include humans as well within the definition of veganism, that would basically mean, like, if there's a pay gap, like a gender pay gap, then that's all of a sudden a vegan issue. If there are teachers on strike somewhere, that's all of a sudden a vegan issue. That's just like preposterous in my view. Like, I have no issue with people advocating for human rights. I've advocated for human rights on my own. I've been to protests against the genocide in Gaza. I've been to anti-Trump protests. Like this, it's not anything foreign to me to advocate for left-wing causes, but nevertheless, like I don't cross the hairs, like I don't cross the wires rather with veganism and other justice issues. Like I think that's a surefire way to make sure that the animals never get the justice and the liberation that they deserve. So yeah, human rights I think is great. Animal rights I think is great, but I think that including humans in the animal rights movement, which is literally the only movement that these animals have, it's the only thing that's ever going to lead to their liberation, only ends up pushing them furthest back and making sure that they're fucked, basically. If they're never going to actually be liberated if, like, labor rights issues or other types of issues, no matter how serious and grave, are lumped in with it. So that's how I see it. M Squad says, "Let me see that billboard." I think you mean the sign. So it says, "Come participate in a social experiment." So just going to be asking people about animal rights. I don't know if we're actually going to get anybody to stop. I have about 20-ish minutes left, so we'll see. We'll see. It's morning time. The streets aren't that crowded. It's like 9:30 a.m. here, and a lot of people are just on their way to work and just kind of getting their day started. Maybe just had a breakfast and they've got like pig corpses and eggs and stuff weighing them down. Maybe they're not quite in the mood to talk to a vegan or anyone. Hey, Jeremy, good to see you here. Hi, Evil Steven. Lewis says, I agree. Human rights issues should definitely be excluded from vegan advocacy. And, like I said, I am all for human rights. I mean, I'm definitely, I have serious points of contention with people who are anti-intersectional when it comes to how our vegan advocacy needs to be done. But I'm not going to give people like purity tests when it comes to whether they're vegan or not, depending on their views on other issues. However heinous those issues and those views, like however heinous those views might be to me, I'm going to recognize that there's veganism and then there's being a decent person, and they're not always one and the same. I think a lot of people try to make veganism, like try to control someone's advocacy and make it about everything under the sun, when we're literally here saying like, hey, maybe let's not hang these beings by their legs and cut them ear to ear. Maybe let's not use these beings like their property. Maybe let's not determine the day that they're going to be killed on the day that they're born. It's just about basic rights for non-human animals, I think, and every other issue can be dealt with on its own. I do recognize that the roots of oppression are linked, but again, I don't conflate veganism with human rights issues. Lewis says, this is 100%, I'm also a strong advocate for human rights issues, but I keep that separate from veganism. Yeah. I'm the same. And I think there's something unique about the animal rights movement in general, in that we are advocating for victims who can't advocate for themselves. meaning that they will never be able to free themselves without humans intervening in the way of other humans who are the oppressors of those animals. And it's unique in that they're they're not like in different types of oppression. You have those groups of individuals participating in the movements, um, wishing to liberate themselves or secure greater rights. But as far as these animals go, we're never going to have like pigs and cows and turkeys and chickens, etc., out on the front lines, out at an animal rights march with us, which makes it kind of uniquely, puts more of an onus on vegans to make sure that we're giving them, a fair shake. We're giving them the voices that they need speaking up for them. And I understand that there are voices speaking up for non-human animals with whom people have vehement, strong disagreements, and I don't blame people for disagreeing about things regarding human rights that they're passionate about. I certainly have my fair share of disagreements with people. Um, like, for example, I do think that what's happening in Gaza is a genocide. Um, that being said, I'm not going to tell somebody that they're not vegan if they have an opposing viewpoint and they're still against the commodification, exploitation, and violence of non-human animals. I don't think veganism is something that requires everybody to see eye to eye on everything political as far as human rights goes. Um, if that makes me an apologist to some people, I'm sorry. You can go kick rocks and start your own channel, or talk about why veganism is supposedly about human rights on your own channel. A big group of, looks like tourist walker people. I don't think anybody there is going to have time to stop by. Got a little sparrow stopping by, but I don't know if I can talk to the sparrow. M Squad says, "Bro, old people are here." Um, That's funny. I do have a pretty large viewership of kind of people on the older side. I was looking at my audience stats on YouTube Studio the other day, and it's kind of like pretty strongly represented by people like 55 and above. I think it's kind of interesting. Hey, Gray Sky Vegan, good to see you here. So we will see. I've been out here for almost 13 minutes, and no one has yet to stop. And I don't know if anybody will, but we will see. I think it's it's good to gather data, and this is just a data point. If nobody stops today, at least you'll have heard me get on my soapbox for a little bit, for whatever that's worth, if anything. And at least I'll have gathered some data about what times work for doing this kind of outreach. And thank you, Lewis, for your support. Yes, please tap the like button. And I see Lewis waving at Mobius, so I assume Mobius is here. I didn't see his message, but thanks, Moby, for being here. Vegan certainly says, "At least you got out there. That's big." Yeah, I mean, it's big in like a personal momentum sense, maybe, and just like keeping myself like kind of primed and ready to speak up for animals. But I can't say that it's any kind of a win for animals, unfortunately, at least in the local sense. Perhaps it inspired somebody to take action more through like YouTube or other platforms. I guess in that sense, it can be a little bit of a win, like inspiring fellow activists or inspiring non-active vegans. But it's kind of a wash, I think, when it comes to like the actual effect on the ground, which is basically me just holding a generic sign. But a lot of awesome people in the chat, so glad to see you guys here. I'm holding this sign that says "Come participate in a social experiment," and hoping to talk to some people about animal rights. I've been thinking about also this legislation to question people with as a prompt, whereby I believe in Donald Trump's previous presidency, he made the trade of dog and cat meat illegal. And I think that might be a really good segue to talk about speciesism and kind of like differential rights in general. Hey, David, great to see you here. I always appreciate your support. Lewis says it's good to hear my views in general. Um, Thanks, Lewis. I appreciate your interest in my views. I mean, I tend to keep them kind of quiet. I do see a lot of hypocrisy sometimes from people who are, I guess, supposedly in the vegan movement when it comes to things that they'll choose to support and not support. And I try to kind of just keep my mouth shut, honestly. I'm not one to try to like call people out and put people on blast for their contradictions and things like that. I'm just pretty clear that like, yeah, veganism is about non-human animal rights. Human rights are great. We should support people's uprisings against all forms of oppression, whether that's something having to do with a pay gap, or whether we're talking about racial equality, or even something as serious as a genocide. These are all like things that I think decent people should have issues with. Having those things happen is something that I don't think anybody should be proud of, the fact that that's happening on this planet. But that being said, veganism is veganism. Human rights is human rights. M Squad was asking if I remember them. Yes, M Squad, I remember you. Thank you for being here. Jax, I don't know how to pronounce it. Jax Nader says, "How many meat eaters have you epically owned yet?" I'm never trying to own people. My goal is always to teach rather than preach, and I try to just basically edify the public about the kind of differential treatment of non-human animals. And honestly, I don't even try to push like my virtues on other people. My goal is always to just help people examine their own biases and reflect on whether or not veganism is closer to the world that they want to live in. If living vegan would be closer to the goals that they have for themselves. That's always kind of my goal, just to help people kind of put up a mirror toward their own values. So haven't owned anybody, and I don't know that it's ever actually been my goal to like own a carnist, but do you want to participate? Yeah, always happy to help people examine their own views. I know personally, I didn't know what was happening to these animals to the extent that I understood when I actually saw the footage. Like, I was lacto-ovo vegetarian, as in like not vegan, not anywhere close to vegan. I didn't have any view that I had put into action against oppressing other animals. But for 2 years, I didn't eat animals, but I still paid for things that exploited them. And it wasn't until I actually saw the footage of what was happening to them, like just seeing them not even necessarily being subjected to like overt beatings and that kind of violence, but more just like the violence of confinement and enslavement, that really, really bothered me. And it bothered me that I was responsible for putting beings into that position where they were being treated as basically property, like as if they could just be confined in these areas and just literally milked for what they've got, like no pun intended. That really bothered me, and that was kind of one of the last stepping stones toward deciding that I didn't want to align myself with any kind of behavior that treated animals as a property, or as objects, as commodities. I understand that not everybody is there yet, at a point where they can put their selfishness to the side and actually think about what other beings are going through, just for them to enjoy a 15-minute palate sensation. But hopefully through increasing their awareness, whether that's through listening to streams like this, where I'm doing the social experiment and talking to people about their views, getting people to reflect on how different species are treated differently, or whether that's through something like meditation, maybe, where a person is just increasing their present moment awareness and realizing what makes them sacred, in a sense, like what makes them, what makes their life worth living. And I think that when we think about it, it's experience. And then I think if we start to value experience, we start to value the idea that other beings also value their experience. we arrive at this kind of moment of humility where we recognize that we are beings among other beings who want to live. Like we are beings who want to live among beings who want to live. There's a quote. I'm not sure who it's attributable to, but something like that. Um, so yeah, I think there's many ways to get there, and hopefully this is just one action that helps us get there. Oh, there's a sparrow that just perched right next to me. I wonder if I can turn. Hey, buddy, so you guys can see. Oh, hello. Hello. You guys. Oh, they flew away. Well, we got a hello from a sparrow. Okay. So this is getting real now. I've only ever gone like 6 minutes without someone stopping, and it's been almost 21 minutes now. So this is definitely a Haas vegan record, and I am gonna have to get going in about like 5 minutes. So I guess sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles, as the saying goes. Paulette says, showing compassion to animals is cool. Keep it up. Thanks, Paulette. I do appreciate it. Martin says, saw the bird. Okay, awesome. Yeah, he was here. Actually, the bird was a she. Fun fact. I guess I can use this time to share a fun fact. So sparrows are actually what's called sexually dimorphic. So you can actually tell between a male and a female. It's a biological term. The females have more like cream and kind of gray coloring, like overall kind of lighter coloring, and they don't have that dark brown, whereas the male sparrows have.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Where do you go down?
Where you go down?
Yes, to the river.
If you cross over the bridge and over the river and through the woods, to grandmother's house you go. Yep. Okay. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, sparrows. So the male sparrows, they have like dark brown around, like kind of like a little beard / like chest thing, things like that. Yeah, you can tell a male sparrow from a female sparrow. That was a female one. You can tell with cardinals too. Actually, you know, the red cardinals are all males. The ones that are brown with like very bright orange looking beaks, those are the female cardinals. I personally really love female cardinals. I think they're beautiful. M Squad says, eat animals, get strong. M Squad, I'll have you know actually that in the last 6 months I put on something like 7 pounds of muscle, mostly in my lower body, to be fair. I haven't been working my upper body as much, but I've been focusing on trying to get a little bit more into kind of like unilateral types of training, like lots of like lunges and reverse lunges, side lunges, things like that. Just strengthening my legs and getting into running a little bit. But it's been going great. I'm not letting my arms lag too much. But yeah, you can definitely build muscle on a plant-based diet. There's no reason why a person cannot. And I mean, I don't know. I'm 5'6" and about 160 pounds. I've got like I think 115 pounds of lean muscle, which I think is pretty freaking good. It's not incredible, but I can deadlift 350 easily. Pounds, that is, not kilograms. I'm not like and if you say I'm capping, if you think that I'm not being truthful, I actually posted my results, so my own medical information. I posted it on my channel. If you go to my community post, you can actually see my information there. So you can see my testosterone results of 730. And you know, I haven't always had high testosterone. In 2023, I had a test where it was like 417, which is like pretty on the low end. But I cleaned up my diet. I've just been exercising more, and I got it almost double of what it was before. I'm obviously natural. I don't think anybody looks at me and thinks that I'm on steroids or anything. So yeah, you can definitely be strong and masculine. And M Squad says just stop capping. You can Bro, go to my my community on my channel. Go to my community post. Unless you're going to allege that I'm like somehow made that information up. That's my data. Obviously I wouldn't share somebody else's medical information. That's my own shit. So it's there for you to see. I went for a 4-mile run yesterday. I hadn't gone on any run of longer than like a quarter mile in like months. I didn't run fast. I hit like maybe like a 9:30 split for all 4 miles, which isn't that great. But it's not terribly slow either. I mean, it's like 6.2 miles an hour or something for someone who literally like does not run at all, like for months at a time. For that being their first run, I think that's pretty good. I do want to get a little bit more back into running. I know Vegan Sign Guy is here. Vegan Sign Guy is I think quite an accomplished runner. Yeah, I think you can be vegan and be active and be healthy. I don't see how eating a carcass from an animal or anything from animals would help my performance in any way. But I'm always open to being wrong. But I just don't see it happening. I just don't see that happening. Jeremy says Haas versus Chip's fall off. How much would that race for Sanctuary? Oh no, I mean Chip is in another league as far as swollenness goes. I'm kind of like a cross training type of person. So I try to, I kind of think about, I was talking a little bit with James about this when we had a stream together. And I remember that I actually left out the endurance part. So I think there's actually 4 pillars of fitness in my view, which is strength, endurance, flexibility, and speed. So I participate in group sports where, I work on things like speed. I go for a run or a bike ride kind of thing where I work on my endurance. I participate in like HIIT training, things like that, where I'm working on things. I guess stamina is kind of something too. And then, flexibility, like I'll do a lot of yoga, like vinyasa type stuff, all that kind of stuff. So I don't train, not to say that Chip trains like unidimensionally. I think he's very fit across the board, but yeah, my training kind of is kind of multimodal and less in the just kind of strictly lifting, which it seems like Chip's training is a little bit more lifting oriented, which is awesome too. But yeah, I mean, I've been there too in my life. And if you look at some of my streams from like a few months ago, I'm visibly like more muscular, like in the arms and stuff. Right now, I kind of, I still have a little bit of the nice shoulder rounding, but not quite as much, like not quite as much in the bicep region, which is fine though. I still feel like very healthy. My legs are still strong. Like I'm getting more and more abdominal definition. It's just we go through cycles and phases in life where we're focused on different things. And yeah, right now I'm just a little bit more focused on like the functional movement and muscle that I can really use effectively. But there may come a time where I'm focused more on more aesthetics or more strictly on flexibility. But yeah, I'm just kind of focused on feeling good. How fast can I run up a flight of stairs and still feel not winded? When can I just bust out a 4-mile run like it's nothing? When can I join like a high intensity interval class and just torch it? Just different group sports, things like that. Participating in that kind of stuff brings me a lot of fun and joy also. So yeah, that's kind of the season in life that I'm in right now. Martin says, dude, you look good. M Squad says, nah, look hairy. My question is, why not both? If someone's hairy, that doesn't mean that they can't look good, right? Kimmy Cat says, merhaba, nasıl gidiyor? Oh, I see Turkish. İyi gidiyor. Says that's going well. But unfortunately, everyone, I do need to wrap it here. Sorry to say we didn't have any conversation. So for people who are here, I really appreciate you being here and sticking with me and hoping that we would have a conversation. Like I said earlier, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, but I do appreciate everybody being here. I'm about to wrap this up. James says, Haas, I want to drive to Chicago one day so we can run the city. James, anytime that you're here, hit me up, and we'll do some activism together. I do need to get going now, though, but thank you guys so much for being here. It really means a lot, and if you didn't catch my little rant at the beginning of this stream about how veganism is about non-human animal rights, please do watch that. Full transparency, I'm all for intersectionality. I'm not one of the people who's going to talk shit on intersectionals. I'm not one of the people who's going to make fun of anybody or introduce any derision for anybody who's advocating against like the genocide in Gaza, or for the Black Lives Matter movement, or who's a feminist. I support all those causes, but I think it's important to also recognize that veganism is the one movement that non-human animals have dedicated to them. So let's also do them justice and not throw them under the bus, and try to include humans in veganism. Because if you do that, literally any human rights issue can be a veganism issue, and then the waters get muddied, and we don't have a movement anymore. So before human rights for humans, before veganism for animals and animal rights. And have a great day, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all. Go shine your light in the world. Be a beacon for awareness, and catch you all later. All right. Take care. Have a good one. Be well. Stay hydrated. And thank you for being here. It means more than you know. All right.